I'm joined here today by some of my award-winning team in blue. Should you require their advice throughout today's proceedings, please feel free to approach either Sebastian and of course Ilia and Menkinoski, who no doubt you've had the great pleasure of meeting throughout the marketing campaign. Boys, let me share with you the following announcements which in place help you bid and buy with absolute confidence here today. The auction will be conducted in accordance with and any additional conditions that were made available for inspection before the start of the auction. The auction rules prohibit an auctioneer from accepting bids or offers for a property after the property has been knocked down to the successful bidder. The vendors have a reserve price. As the auctioneer, I'll indicate bidders on request. The law prohibits false bids, prohibits major disruptions by bidders, and prohibits bidders attempting to prevent others from bidding, and provides for fines for such conduct. The rules permit for vendor bids. The words I'll use during the auction to indicate that I'm making a bid on behalf of the vendor are vendor bid, and by law only I, as the auctioneer, can make a vendor bid. Now, the contract of sale has been on display prior to today's auction. We call for a 10% deposit upon the fall of the hammer and the signing of that contract to take place here today, with the balance to be paid at settlement in a flexible 30 to 60 days time, at which time the vendor will provide the lucky buyer with vacant possession of the property. All in all, it's quite a straightforward document. Everything's in there, everything's quite clear. Buyers, is with my highest recommendation what we offer for your consideration and competition here today. What a central location we have on offer here in Kirwan Avenue in the heart of LALOR, with access to everything that you need for great capital growth, access to everything that you need for a great lifestyle. LALOR really has been put on the map in recent years in terms of capital growth because of that infrastructure. So you can buy today with confidence, knowing that you're securing you and your family's future. The property itself comfortable as it is, but plenty of scope to add your own touches and make it truly your own over the years. A great opportunity for the first home buyers, a great opportunity for the investors among us here today, and an opportunity for you and your family to start your very next chapter by getting the salt sticker up on the board. If that is your goal, buyers, right now is the opportunity to secure that right. Where can I see a fair and reasonable starting bid for one Kirwan? Who'd like to start us off? I don't mind the core, buyers. I'm in your hands. This is your moment. This is your time. I've had my say. Time for you to have yours. We have reasonable expectations here today. Want to get the job done. So if you share that same goal, now's the time. I don't mind the core, buyers. Who'd like to start us off? Always takes a brave soul to throw their hand up in the air first at an auction, I understand that, but you do have an opportunity, buyers, to start from a position of strength, to mark your territory and stake your claim, to show every other. At 600, what was that? 600,000 there. Welcome and best of luck. Thank you for the start, sir and ma'am. At 600,000, even money now, fairly been offered. At 600 the bid. At 600,000, fairly been offered. The bid's there. 6. At 600,000, there's the bid. There's the competition opportunity with every potential buyer here today. At $600,000 now. At 600,000, Spark and Basement buying at that at 600,000. Everybody's hands should be up in the air at 6. At 600,000, fairly been offered. Bid there. At 600,000 now. Take 20 in the rise. At 600 to make it 20 now. At $600,000 the bid. Once at 600,000 are we done. At 600,000 the bid for the second call. At 600,000 for the at 620,000. At 620,000, it's nice when the bidders are nice and close together. Saves me steps. At 620,000 now, 620 the bid. At 620,000, bid just there behind you. Opportunity with you now at 40 if you like. At 620,000, fairly been offered now at 620 the bid. At 620,000. At 620,000, bid there against you. One bid not enough here today. At 620 the bid now. First call at $620,000 the bid. Second call at 620. Third, final call at 620,000. Where was that? 525. Who's it with? At 6. Can I say 10, sir? At 625, if you drive a hard bargain, I'll take it. And same courtesy here at 5 if you like. At 625 and the bid's there. At 625,000, made it nice and easy for you at 30, taken. At 630 now. At 35, the quick retort at 35. At 635, I was just saying I like my bidders close. You couldn't be further away, sir. At 635, the bid. At 40 now, 640. At 640, the bid's there. 45 if you like. 50's better. At 45 now, 645. At 645,000. At 645,000, bid there, 50 the call. At 645 the bid. At 650,000. At 650,000. At 650 the bid. I will say that we are on the market. We do sell here today at 650,000. If you've come to buy, you must bid me now or forever hold your peace, because we're selling at 650,000. If you're waiting for the halftime break, it's not going to happen here today. There's no TV tea break. I'm not going inside, not seeking instructions. My instructions have been sought and given. They are to sell here today. So 652,000 now at 652. At 652,000, the keys are there at 652. At 652,000, fairly been offered now at 652 the bid. Bid there, keys there, 55 now at 655. At 655,000, if you've come to buy, try big bid, sir, ma'am. At 657 now. At 657. At 657,000. At 657,000, bid there at 660 now. At 660 the bid. At 660, fairly been offered. We're on the market. We're selling. Can't deal with you after the auction. Once the hammer falls, sold is sold. God is gone. At 660 in the bids there. Opportunity still here. Won't be for long. We're on the market and selling. At 60 now. Once at 660 at 62. At 662,000. At 662,000, we're back there at 65. At 665,000, the quick retort again at 65. At 665,000, opportunity with you now. At 665, dig deep if you want to buy. At 665,000, small bids haven't worked for you yet. Try a big one. At 665,000. At 665,000, the bid. Bid there, keys there. 665 the bid. At 666. At 666, 666 now. At 666,000, too many S's for me. Take me to 70. 70. At 70, thank you. At 670,000. At 670,000, fairly bid and offered. At 670 and the bid's behind. At 670,000. What do you say? Give me a big bid. We've tried small ones at 670. The bid's there. We're on the market. We're selling. Once it's sold, it's gone. At 670, if you come to buy, now is the time. Now's the moment. I'll give you a moment to think about it. I'll circle back or give me a bid right now. At 670,000, the bid's there. The keys are there. We sell once at 670. Done. For the second call, at 670,000. Done. At 671, at 671,000, give me a big bid in response. At 671, it was a Labor decision over there. At 671,000, fairly been offered now. Can I suggest 75 in the rise? At 671,000, fairly been offered now. At 671, at 75 now, got. At 675, at 675,000, fight fire with fire, give me a big bid. At 675 the bid. At 675,000, bid back there, keys back there. We're on the market, we sell. At 675. First call at 675,000. Done. Second call, 6 3/4. Done. Finished. For the third and final call at $675,000 the bid. All done. All finished. Silent out. Call them after the auction, sir, and tell them you've bought it. It's much more fun to ask for forgiveness than permission. At 675, the bid's there. The keys remain there. They can be yours, but I need a bid at 675,000. First call, second call, third, final call at 675. The bid all done, all finished. 1,000. At 676. At 676, and take me to 80 now. At 676,000, bid back there, keys back there now. At 676, can I suggest 80, sir, in the rise? Let's get it done for you here today. At 676,000, fairly been offered. We're done over here. Yeah, thank you very much for your bidding here today. At 676, I am. At 676, and the bid's there. At 676, the bid. At 80 now. 680, and another great bid at 80. At 680,000. At 680,000, bid back there. Opportunity back here now at 680 the bid. We're on the market. We sell at 680 now. Once at 680,000. Done. Twice at 680. Done and finished. Third, final call at $680,000 the bid. All done. All finished. Silent out at 680. I hate to put pressure, but I'm going to have to put pressure. We do need to know at 680,000 in or out. Now's the time. One last roll of the dice. Don't walk away wondering. At 680,000, we done. Do I have your absolute best here today? At 680. Need to know, sir, 680,000. Now's the time. At 680 the bid. Yes or no, in or out. First call, second call, third, final call at 680. All done, finished. Silent out at 80. Can I just confirm I have your absolute best here today? Sorry? You definitely done? Thank you very much for your spirited bidding here today. At $680,000 the bid. They tell me they're out, sir. First call, second call, third and final call at 680. All done, finished, silent it out at 680. We are selling. Sold. Congratulations and well bid. Please join me congratulating our purchasers and our vendors here today. You've just witnessed another successful Harcourts, Rata and Co auction. Have a great weekend. We'll see you again soon. Thank you.